A sandbagging in pro wrestling relates to a lack of cooperation between wrestlers to safely pull off moves. Now, this usually involves a wrestler intentionally shifting their body weight in order to make it impossible for their opponent to lift them. Now, this can occur due to personal issues, as one of the wrestlers in the match could deliberately attempt to make their opponent look as bad as humanly possible. But which times were they? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 times a WWE wrestler intentionally sandbagged their opponent. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 10. Nia Jax vs Charlotte Flair. A random match on Raw in the summer of 2021 between Nia Jax and Charlotte Flair turned rather brutal as the two women began to shoot on each other and both women began to sandbag each other's moves. This started with a spinebuster from Nia, which Charlotte didn't cooperate with, and it resulted in Charlotte having a rough landing. Charlotte would then go for a double leg takedown, with Nia deciding she didn't want to do the planned spot. Now, it was rumored that there were deep personal issues between the two women, but apparently that isn't the case. Both women wrestlers have confirmed that they are friends even after Nia had departed from WWE. Number 9. Jack Swagger vs Alex Riley. Now, there was some debate as to whether Alex Riley's sandbagging in this match with Jack Swagger on Raw was truly intentional. Now, for some context, the finish of the match was supposed to be that of Swagger hitting the gut-wrench powerbomb on Riley for the victory. But the issue was that Riley didn't cooperate with the move, meaning that he was literally dead weight, and Swagger struggled to lift him up for the move. Now, questions were raised as to why Riley would do this deliberately, as there didn't appear to be any issues between the two men. Now, the likely reason for Riley's sandbagging was that he suffered a head injury or possibly a concussion during the final part of the match, which could have made it hard for him to fully cooperate with the move. Number 8. Lacey Evans vs Bayley. Now, Lacey Evans has been heavily criticized for sandbagging her opponents in a number of matches, with the likes of Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch and Bayley all complaining about this. This criticism has extended beyond fan backlash, and WWE superstar Riddle even made a public comment in relation to Lacey's sandbagging on social media. The worst example of her sandbagging occurred following a dark match on Raw in 2019. As Bayley was supposed to hit Lacey with the Bayley to belly to send the crowd home happy, but Lacey didn't jump up for the move. This meant that both women awkwardly fell over. It looked terrible, and the Bayley to belly suplex is one of the most basic moves around, meaning there was zero excuse for Lacey to sandbag the move. Number 7. Shawn Michaels sandbags Sid's powerbomb. The night after WrestleMania 11 was supposed to be a huge moment for Psycho Sid. He was going to turn on Shawn Michaels and begin a solo run, which would push him once again up to the main event scene in WWE. Now, the segment for Sid's moment would see Sid perform a trademark powerbomb on HBK, but sadly, HBK decided to sandbag the move. It's unclear what truly happened with the powerbomb, as it's clear that HBK didn't cooperate with the move, meaning that when he was in the air, Sid had no choice but to drop HBK to the side. This completely killed a special moment, and you could audibly hear the crowd lose their excitement. Sid had no choice but to perform the move again, and this time it was delivered with full cooperation from HBK, but the damage was already done. Number 6. Ryback vs Tensai. Ryback was well established for being one of the strongest men in WWE during his time spent in the company. Therefore, when he was unable to lift Tensai up for the shell shock during their match on Raw in 2012, it could have damaged his image in the eyes of the fans. It was a bizarre then improvised a new finish which saw Ryback hit a meat hook clothesline to secure the victory. Now, there were rumors that Tensai had legitimately sandbagged Ryback, maybe out of personal dislike, or perhaps thanks to a direct order from WWE management which was designed to test Ryback. Ryback would discuss the potential sandbagging during an appearance on Sam Roberts' podcast and revealed,
he would never go out there and try to sabotage anything, and if that was a test, it didn't bother me at all. I say, I'm a home run hitter. I go out there to swing for the fences. But to this day, it still blows my mind that happened. That was one of those things. I don't like to use excuses, but I was definitely sick that day. Like, the flu, just miserable. But still, strength-wise, felt fine. Like, I shouldn't have been a problem. I just believe I hooked my head high on him that day. I didn't get low enough.
Gotcha.
Number 5. Brock Lesnar vs Randy Orton. Now, the main event of SummerSlam in 2016 saw Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton collide in a dream match. This would be their first ever 1v1 match on pay-per-view, and the match is remembered for two things. One, Orton being busted open by Lesnar, and secondly, Orton sandbagging Lesnar. Orton would sandbag Lesnar on all of Lesnar's German suplexes. Orton just didn't want to go up in the air for the move, and Lesnar was clearly having difficulty lifting Orton and throwing him with the force he traditionally would. Orton's sandbagging is most likely explained due to Orton's history with shoulder and arm injuries, and Orton just wanted to avoid getting injured. Now, it's rather unlikely that Orton sandbagged Lesnar to spite him, as the two had and continue to have a great relationship behind the scenes in WWE. Number 4, Goldberg vs. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Now, without a doubt, one of the most controversial matches in recent memory was Goldberg vs. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt back in 2020. The match saw Goldberg defeat The Fiend to win the Universal title in a move that nobody saw coming. The finish of the match came when Goldberg hit a jackhammer on The Fiend to secure the victory, but The Fiend was actually accused of sandbagging Goldberg's iconic finisher to try and make him look bad. The jackhammer looked truly awful and looked more like a basic suplex. It appeared as if The Fiend didn't cooperate with the move and failed to give Goldberg enough leverage to pull the move off effectively. Was this the case of The Fiend going into business for himself, or was it a case of The Fiend just being too heavy for Goldberg to lift? Number 3, Triple H vs. Scott Steiner. WWE had big plans for Scott Steiner when he returned to the company in 2002. He was thrown into a high-profile feud with the then world champion Triple H, and the two were set to meet at the 2003 Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Their match was a total disaster, and it's well established for being one of the worst world title matches that the WWE has ever presented on pay-per-view. The two had no chemistry whatsoever, and Steiner, as well as a number of WWE fans, accused Triple H of sandbagging all of Steiner's moves. Steiner believed that Triple H deliberately wanted to make him look as bad as possible, as he didn't want Steiner being a main event player in WWE, and to Steiner's credit, there are definitely certain points in the match where you can see Triple H not cooperating with suplexes and other basic wrestling moves. Now, there is a counter-argument that Steiner simply couldn't keep up with Triple H due to nagging injuries, but Steiner would be rather quick to dismiss that claim. The two would meet again at the No Way Out pay-per-view, but this match was also met with negative fan response, so much so that Steiner was pulled from any creative plans for WrestleMania 19. Number 2, Hulk Hogan vs. The Undertaker. Two WWE legends collided in the main event of the 2002 Judgment Day pay-per-view as Hulk Hogan defended the WWE title against The Undertaker. The match is well known for having one of the worst chokeslams ever delivered in a WWE match, and fans believe that Hogan deliberately sandbagged the dead man. During the match, The Undertaker would go for a chokeslam, but Hogan outright decided to not cooperate with the move. He awkwardly decided not to jump for the move as he planted his feet on the ground and refused to comply. Taker even looked at Hogan to question what on earth was happening. Hogan eventually went up for the move in truly a lackluster chokeslam, which seriously impacted the quality of the overall match. And number 1, Brock Lesnar vs. Hardcore Holly. Sandbagging can sometimes result in a serious injury, and Hardcore Holly found this out the hard way in 2002. Holly was wrestling Brock Lesnar on SmackDown, and throughout their infamous match, Holly was sandbagging a number of Lesnar's moves. Eventually, when Lesnar went for a powerbomb, the timing was off and Lesnar dropped Holly right on his neck. The botched powerbomb broke Holly's neck, and he was forced to take over a year off to heal up. It's believed that Holly intentionally sandbagged Lesnar to try and make him look bad, but it ultimately backfired in the biggest way possible. But there you have it, folks. 10 times a WWE wrestler intentionally sandbagged their opponent. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.